I mean, I think that Dota is one of the most beautiful MOBAs out there right now, and I think that, you know, we're going to move on to talking about other beautiful games or the graphics in other MOBAs.
Sure.
So,
visual aesthetic.
Yes, because they're not all that beautiful.
No, they are not.
I would say, if I had to rank them, Dota 2 would definitely be the prettiest of the ones that are available right now. And then following that up, probably Heroes of the Storm. They have a really similar aesthetic, I would say. But I think that it's tough because with free-to-play games, you're trying to reach a really mass market of people, and some people don't have the best computers to play these games on. So it can be tough sort of balancing really amazing graphics like Dota 2 versus, you know, having a bunch of people play it.
It has to scale well.
Yeah, and Dota really doesn't. Like, it doesn't run well on my work laptop at all.
On low settings, graphic looks...
anything. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
but speaking of League has a really amazing graphical update coming
the
to
new
Summoner's Rift.
Looks so good.
It looks beautiful. Yeah. They really are updating things, but you don't think so. Okay, awesome. So let's hear what you have to say.
Let's hear it, hater.
A lot of cool model retextures. Like I think the bases, they're making everybody's base look different. I think that's really cool. Like the one side is like squares and the other side is like curves, shape-wise, like architecture and everything. What I don't like is that they're kind of making the game less vibrant. They took a lot of color out of the map. Which helps kind of like distinguish your character from the environment.
Yeah,
that's
which is
actually
their
what
goal.
they said. Unfortunately, the side effect is I think the game looks a lot, I don't know.
Duller now?
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked the look before. It was very unique.
Yeah, see, I mean, I agree with you in the sense that it's kind of flatter now that the characters in the environment have like the same visual, just that like shiny, vibrant, colorful effect.
Yep.
But I love, like, I don't agree with you at all in terms of the environment losing color. There are just so many so many more places that have like little flowers that just make that area pop a little more.
Yeah.
There's just a higher level of detail.
The detail is definitely like increased tenfold.
Yeah.
And also the jungle creeps all look really awesome now. They all have their own sort of look to them, whereas before they didn't look all that great, but now they definitely have like visual cues that go with them that I really like. And, you know, Baron got an upgrade and that type of thing. And like you were saying, it definitely looks a little bit less colorful, but that makes it so that when you're in a team fight, you can understand what's going on. Or that's
which is
the
what
hope.
matters. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we're kind of divided on this. Have you seen the Summoner's Rift update? What do you think?
I have. First of all, need to play more League, but one of the like, if you look at like any specific character in League, I'd be like, yeah, that character looks pretty cool. But later, when I saw people playing with all their like different outfits and stuff, I was like, these are just like cool art styles that got thrown together somehow that don't mesh.
Yeah, there's like a lot of joke costumes and stuff like that.
Right, like that's the thing. Like in Dota, some costumes you're like, did this change anything at all? But in League, it's like this looks totally different.
Yeah, like the silhouette of the character is different enough that you're like, that character? I don't know.
Right. And that just bugged me. Like I just was like, what? Like there are like 10 artist styles being clashed together. But I don't know if that's going to change because this is just like a map update, correct?
Yeah, this one's just the map, so not the characters. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I mean, it looks really good.
Some of the older characters are getting updated graphics though, so it just is kind of a slow increase.
Over time.
But I mean, so what do you guys think about, you know, the graphics versus having a mass appeal kind of subject on it?
So we recently played Infinite Crisis, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this down the line. But
yes, Infinite Crisis was supposed to be our game of the week, but James wanted to talk about it, and he's not here, so stop saying that.
Sorry. I just worry about him.
He's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, and my thing with Infinite Crisis is, in terms of mass appeal, obviously this is a DC Universe-themed MOBA. So, oh man, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Arrow, all these recognizable characters. Joker, like 4 different variations of the Joker, and like Gaslight Batman. Yeah. So you have all these different themes and things with this world you know and love. But even with like max settings, that game still looks cheap to me. The animation just doesn't look very good. The colors don't pop. The UI is a mess. The environment just doesn't make any sense to me visually. There's just a lot of things aesthetically about it that I think just don't mesh in a way that is like even more contrasting than League. Because League, you at least have like, oh, he's a fantasy costume, but it's a pirate instead of a ninja outfit or whatever it is, right? Like he's got a funny hat. Whereas this is like, just nothing here seems like it's part of the same thing. I understand DC Universe. I understand MOBAs. those pieces don't fit at all for me in this instance because of the aesthetic.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how Infinite Crisis looks overall. I think the character models are the best looking thing about that game. Like the way that the superheroes' cloaks kind of flutter is really beautiful. But the actual maps themselves and like your health bars, like your HUD is just really not pleasing to the eye, I would say, in that game, which has been out in beta for a really long time. So they've had time to hear this feedback and maybe adjust some things, and they haven't.
There's also just some problems with the animations. Like when the creeps die, they explode, and it just suddenly feels like, it's like they took a 3D character and took a 2D snapshot of it to make a sprite, and then animated that. And it's just like, it feels like an old looking arcade game when something falls to pieces in that game. It just doesn't look right. And when you're looking at something like Infinite Crisis, which is chasing League's coattails, it's trying to be League, but Batman! It's not cool or acceptable to me to have something that looks that cheap or doesn't look quite as good. And you can, obviously, like, they're totally different visual styles, but you can have a game that looks great, and it's also a competent MOBA. But they are just like, it's a competent MOBA that doesn't really do anything for me visually. So,
I'll address this question to you, Josh. Do you think that you need to have good graphics to have a good MOBA? Or does that not really
You don't necessarily have to have good graphics in the sense that they have to be Crisis level. Like, oh my god, that looks realistic and amazing. They have to be good in the sense that everything meshes and fits together, and the characters are clear indicators of what they do. Like what League of Legends is doing with the creeps. Oh, that thing looks like a tank. It's probably going to be tanky.
Yeah.
Infinite Crisis, the problem that you have with it is that nothing really meshes. Everything's thrown in there.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a problem, because if you can't tell the difference between that character and that creep, you don't know who to prioritize, who to target.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Arena of Fate suffers from that a little bit. I think the game looks great, and it's got like a unified thing. So that's great aesthetically, but overall it's just kind of like flat. There's nothing interesting about the way it looks, in the same way League has like those very sharp, colorful lines, black outlines, big, colorful things that pop.
Arena of Fate is very brown in color, I felt like, when I played it. I only played one match of Arena of Fate. We definitely have some impressions going up on IGN.com, which you can check out. But I totally agree. Like I would hope Red Riding Hood's cloak or whatever
is like
was
doing something
bright red or something like that, rather than just sort of toned down red. I like those bright colors in games. They appeal to me. It sounds like they appeal to everyone.
Just crank up that saturation.
Yeah, I think so too.
Although that might also be a case of game identity, like that game's identity and tone in general might just be like a darker fairy tale setting.
Yeah, that's true.
If that's the identity they're trying to create for themselves, then I guess I have less of a problem with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Having no identity.
Thing I'm not quite sure about yet is, so to go back to Dota, like if we talk about like, hey, let's talk about Puck. Like I feel like Puck like has a personality. Like I know that hero. Like does that sound weird?
No,
right?
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
Weird.
But like I don't know if it's just because I spend so much time with it, like that game, or if it's because like these are like well-designed characters with like unique looks that I care about. Like,
I think
Pudge
it's a little bit
jerk,
of both. Because
right?
You and Pudge. It's so funny.
What were you saying?
I was listening to you.
You were saying something after I was done.
No, I was listening to you talk about Puck and Pudge and how, these characters have personality. And we talked about this in the past, how, when you first get into MOBAs, you don't really know the personality of these characters. But as you play hundreds of games with them, you really start to like the characters and the things they say and the dumb things they say especially.
Oh my God.
You fall in love with that. And that's something that it does have to do with the graphics too, because it's like when Puck pops out, for example, and he's like, "See ya," he's just like, it's funny. I like that. I like that puff that he makes, and it's cool. And I think that that's important to have those sort of iconic things, or like Ravage with Tidehunter is such an iconic like visual. Ultimate is so cool. So I think that it's graphics are important to tell a story, like what you're saying. And I think that some games are doing it better than others right now. But we'll have to see, in the future how it plays out and how the newer MOBAs are going to sort of tell their stories.
And if they also get any visual upgrades.
Because, I'm on board with the League.
Me too.
The League
Big
update.
Time.
We'll have to see. Maybe they'll add more things that make it appeal to you.
They did say that it's still work in progress, so we'll see where they finish.
Yeah, totally. Let us know which MOBA that you think is the prettiest or the ugliest, even. You can do that on youtube.com/IGN Arena or leave a comment in the on the article page on IGN.com.